What's going on, people? Welcome to the Morning View. Welcome to United View. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy Friday, 24th of May. It's the eve. It's the day before the final, man. The big one tomorrow. All roads lead to Wembley, but also many other roads lead to loads of rumours about the manager. And we didn't see you that long ago, actually. Normally, the last live before we would have seen you would have been yesterday morning. But if you know, you know. And, you know, a good 20,000 of you already do know because you watched it. You know, we were live late last night with the stuff about Kieran McKenna, and as predicted, there's an extension upon that. So lock in, guys. Double strap there. There you go. Belt it, pull it tight. Everything, all kind of belts that you need to do. We warned you that this would be like this. Preferably, we didn't want it to be in the lead up to the FA Cup final, but that's what the media is doing. So today we've got reports. And the back end of last night, after we finished our live, of reports sort of saying that Ten Hag's position is untenable. The four-manager shortlist, that is something that was confirmed to me yesterday and obviously in loads of reports last night. Where do we go from here? What even happens next? And of course, there is a preview coming out later on today, but we just can't keep away from that FA Cup final, can we? We can't. We just can't do it. Like the video for Flex, says Ozzy. Not just for me, like it for the channel, like it for the community. Don't just do it for me. Big up Flex and Owen. UV God, says Stephanie. I don't trust INEOS. Never did, says Chima. Likes up, vibes up. Big up from Perth, Australia, from DJ Vic. I love Perth, man. Got a little soft spot for Perth. Really enjoyed my time there. Been there twice.
You enjoyed your time in Australia, didn't
really
you?
Good. Yes, yeah. Australia, wicked. Melbourne, we was DJing. We were doing like sets and stuff out there. Really, really good. Shout out from Mexico, UV fam. 2 a.m. I finally catch you guys live, says Jose Garcia. Jeez, big up the Mexicans in the house. INEOS and Glazers out. Ten Hag in, Qatar in. We need full sail, says Chima. Happy Friday, Flex and Owen, says Jedi Pro. Mr. K says big up the UV family. Nikhil says evening community, so clearly not watching in the UK. And Tabrez says extremely busy at work. We'll catch you all next week. Take care and bless up. Big up to you, Tabrez. Have a good day at work, bro. Scummy ass clubs, scummy ass fan base. Not surprised, says Papa J as well. So as you can see, the comments are commenting. Get involved. You know we're going to get as many read out as possible. And if you remember, use your perks, use your emojis, use your priority chats, use your members chats. And obviously subscribe to the channel and like the channel, like the video if you haven't done so already. Already nearly 700 of you watching and 163 likes. And as we can see there, 83% of you have liked the video. Yes, 83% of you have. And doing it now is 17%. So that's all the house rules taken care of. Owen, over to you, because again, the rumours and the stories are storying and rumouring.
Yeah, it's really like a continuation of last night, really, isn't it? We kind of, as you mentioned, did predict that this was going to happen because it's very predictable, the media, how they operate. Once those reports came out last night, beginning with Sky Sports about Manchester United holding informal talks with Kieran McKenna, senior executives at Manchester United, Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox holding representatives with Kieran McKenna. More has come out because of that about a four-man shortlist, informal talks of actually everybody on that shortlist as well. And now it's kind of pivoted to, well, if people are having talks about possibly replacing a manager before the FA Cup final, 24 hours, 48 hours, or in the case of McKenna, a week before the FA Cup final, what does that mean for the position of the current incumbent manager, Erik ten Hag? And a bit on this comes from James Ducker from The Telegraph, who once again has said the same line. I guess it's really the official line, shall we say, from Manchester United, which is United maintain that they've yet to make a final decision on the future of Erik ten Hag, but his position appears increasingly untenable, and it is understood that the club has been sounding out potential replacements in the event they sack the Dutchman after Saturday's FA Cup final against Manchester City at Wembley. once again, we now go into these sort of possible replacements, people that they've spoken to, saying, quote, like Chelsea United are also believed to hold an interest in Kieran McKenna, their former first-team coach, who has just led Ipswich Town into the Premier League after back-to-back promotions, and is also interested in Brighton and Brentford manager as well, Thomas Frank. Informal discussions, the thoughts have been held with their representatives this week, in addition to those of other potential targets, including Thomas Tuchel and Mauricio Pochettino himself. So again, it's kind of a continuation on what we had seen or heard previously, the reports that we had seen and heard previously. But I suppose the difference from James Ducker, and I think it is a good thing to bring up, is the fact that, well, if these talks are happening, and by all accounts they have been informally or what have you, then what does that say about the position of the person who's currently in charge? I think the nature of what's happened in the last 24 hours is really, really disappointing. You know, that once again, as you mentioned, there's an FA Cup final. You know, I know maybe some people can argue the FA Cup isn't what it used to be. And, you know, back in the 90s and the 80s, you know, used to be like wake up 9 o'clock until kickoff. It was all over the television screens. Maybe not so much nowadays, but it's still one of the biggest matches of the season. A Manchester derby as well, a repeat of last season's final. And from a Manchester United perspective, the match is almost secondary because of all of the speculation and all of the rumors about the person who's currently in charge. And for the person that's leading the team into the final, how are you meant to manage that? It's ridiculous, really. The problem is not necessarily that the talks have happened, because you kind of lead in. Again, if this is all true, or even if it's partially true, it leads into the theory that was there a few months ago of INEOS made their minds up a while ago. And even though the official line is, oh, we haven't made our mind up, you kind of probably have made their minds up on this one. So they're doing their due diligence. But the fact that it now is overshadowing the FA Cup final is a massive, massive problem. And it goes back to what we had spoken about a lot, Flex, which is ambiguity, because this ambiguity has snowballed to a point now where it's overshadowing the potential to win a trophy. And almost regardless of what happens coming out of the game tomorrow, Ten Hag's position does feel untenable, in the sense of, if we lose, you go, well, they've already made their mind up. They're getting someone else. If he wins, it could be like, I won the FA Cup. You're busy gallivanting around talking to other people. Like, it does put him in a really, really ridiculous position, does it not?
Yeah. And now, even like, again, this is worst case, like he does leave. Where would he go? Like, Bayern look like they're going to, like, actually, there's going to be solutions to a lot of these managers who are leaving. You know, between De Zerbi, Pochettino, Tuchel, Xavi, he's going to be available as well, isn't he?
That one's not, again, confirmed, but they reckon that he still could go. Hansi Flick's like, I want to go to Barcelona. But interestingly enough, with that one, another candidate for Barca, if Xavi goes, is the Barcelona B team manager, Rafael Marquez. And once again, it goes back to everyone's looking for the next. Everyone's looking for the next one.
Everyone's looking for the next one. So, you know, with all those available managers, the jobs will probably get taken up. So if Eric was last to the party to be available, he might be further down the queue for what to do. But yeah, I don't really. If Man United win the FA Cup, right, it still doesn't have the feeling that like all this will go away. It feels like so much has been spoken about, so much has happened, so much is being, you know, leaked and stuff. It doesn't have the feeling of, but this will all just go away in 24 hours and then it will just be planning for the summer. It doesn't feel like that because, like you said, the level of backing, it hasn't arrived. And it doesn't feel like it's going to by winning. It doesn't feel like by winning that, INEOS next day will say, you know, really happy to win the FA Cup. This club's about winning. It's not where we want to be. It's been a bad season, but we can't wait for Eric to take us to that next level. It doesn't feel like there's ever going to be a statement of that. And some people can say, listen, there doesn't need to be. You know, the silence is deafening. If they say nothing, you know, all of a sudden the team flies out for pre-season tour in the first game in Edinburgh, or I think it's Norway or something, wherever that is. Yeah, in Norway. If Eric's there and it is the manager, then you're like, well, pre-season's clearly started. We've signed a player by now as well. Like, some of his targets have come in. Then we're just like, okay, that was weird. Remember all that kerfuffle about him leaving? But I don't see how that just goes away from this level of sounding out and speaking to 4 different guys.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last night, there's a couple parts of it. The fact that every single article, regardless of what the focus is, of whether the focus is his position's untenable, informal talks happen with McKenna, they're interested in Poch, they're interested in Thomas Tuchel. The line, seemingly, from the club is, well, we haven't made our mind up yet. Like I said last night, I go, well, you're protesting a bit too much here. You know, when you're just really go, well, I haven't made my mind up yet. And you go, but you have, though. I haven't made my mind. No, I haven't. You're protesting a bit too much. And to your point about, what happens tomorrow, the fact that other reports then say, well, it's not necessarily the result that's going to influence our decision when we do make it. It's going to be across the 2 years, and it's going to be across other factors. To me, I almost look at it as they're giving themselves an out for the unlikely situation that we actually win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're giving themselves an out, going, well, in case we win, it's not going to be just about the result tomorrow. It's going to be about lots of other things. It's going to be about
but
that.
Really,
and again, you do have to, be realistic here with it. I know due diligence is one thing. And to me, like, due diligence wouldn't even necessarily be informal talks. Due diligence would be like just looking at someone's availability, not even sounding them out, just being like, just keeping an eye on them or something like that. If they're having talks and they're talking hypotheticals about the possibility of you taking over at Old Trafford next season in the event that we sack Erik ten Hag, then I'm going, well, naturally, if you're on the other side of it, if I was a representative of Kieran McKenna and they're going about the possibility, hypothetically, you taking over Old Trafford next season, I'd sort of park them and go, wait a minute, how hypothetical are we talking here?
Yeah, exactly.
Because why are we here?
How much can you speak about? Exactly.
If it's super hypothetical, why are we even here? Why are we entertaining this conversation? Like,
it sounds like a show on United View, bro. Like, just when we just like, well, we think about, like, when we, as fans, we just make stuff up. Well, what would that be like? Imagine that. But at that level, you're bang on. It's like, I'm in here his representatives are sitting down saying, what is the pitch like for INEOS? So if we wanted to really sit down with Kieran and present, what do you think he would say? How would he? Where would he want to take us?
Yeah,
like, what sort of manager is he?
Allegedly to the chief executive. Going, this is a busy guy who's not even meant to be working. By the way, whether or not he was there, I don't know. But at the point, like, you would, like you said, you would just. Even if you were talking like that, imagine me and you had a meeting and for half an hour ago. So hypothetically, if this was going to do that, eventually we'd just go, well, is this happening or not? Yeah. Like, what is going on? You go, could you do like a several-hour meeting talking in, like, future tense or something? You'd eventually just go, okay, so where is this going? Like, what are we doing here? Particularly in the event of someone like Kieran McKenna when he goes, well, I've got other people looking at me. So, like, again, how hypothetical are we talking here? How realistic?
Well, imagine the report back from his representative. So imagine when Kieran goes, so how did the meeting go with them earlier? Well,
they were being really weird. They were being really weird.
They wouldn't really commit to what's actually happening and if there's a vacancy or not. They said they would like to consider you if they do make a change, but nothing. We're not really going to know anything till after the cup final, really. But then I do actually think that's true, though. Like, I just think that after this cup final, we're going to know one way or the other what's happening. Like, really, really intensely, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, because nothing's going to happen before then. And interestingly, Jamie Jackson from The Guardian did state on social media that he's told that, again, it's not going to be like Louis van Gaal in the sense of the full-time whistle goes and then everyone knows exactly what's going to happen. He said, well, it might be a bit longer than that if something were to happen. But then at the same time, I think it was Carve talking on Sky, well, I think it was social media, and he said it on Sky Sports yesterday about Chelsea, saying their expectation is they're going to have their appointment by the end of next week. They're moving very, very quickly. And in turn, that can then force Manchester United to move a little bit quicker than maybe they had anticipated too. So I don't know. I sympathize for Erik ten Hag in the sense of for tomorrow and for the preparation. They've got training today. What on earth does that training session look like? Of course, it would be business as usual, but players, they'll be chatting, they'll be talking about it. I'm sure the WhatsApp groups have been going off, going like, have you heard what's going on? Because some of them probably are still in touch with Kieran McKenna. Let's not pretend that that's not the case too. Shoot a message, hey, Kieran, what's going on with this? that stuff happens. So
that is exactly what happens. Yeah.
So yeah, but once again, we're going into we're going into a final, and we're not talking about the final, which is just sums up Manchester United.
We have tried.
And again, I don't know if that's the case of, you know, INEOS writing the game off before it happens, or I do believe that their intention was for this not to get out.
I think Man United is just so big, and this always happens. It's not like INEOS have come and all of a sudden there's leaks. No, the leaks have been leaking for time. Just to take a little break from what me and Owen are saying and get to the super chats in the comment section. Ray Carl says, "Morning, chaps. And for stinking LVG experience, do we ever learn from the past? The game is now flat." Glennie says, "Got a funny feeling Chelsea might go for Ten Hag. Should he be available?" Ice Tray is the newest member of the UV Members Club. Big up to you, Ice Tray. Welcome. And our good friend Andy, my good friend Andy. Andy says, "Flex, I don't like you, but need some advice."
Okay. That's a start.
That's a good start. Well, I'm not a tit for tat person, Andy. I actually do like you, so it's fine. It's not about liking each other. We're both Man United fans. That's enough for me. Andy says, "Flex, I don't like you, but..." It's so funny reading that.
I know, it's a strong start, isn't it? It's a really strong start.
But do you know what? Yeah, do you know what's weird about Andy? I actually admire his honesty. Like, he doesn't really overstep the mark with like insults. I just don't like you, bro. I don't like, and that's fine. Like, not everyone has to like everyone. It's
conversation. I don't like you. Okay.
But it proves that just because you don't like someone, it don't mean you can't find common ground.
Yes.
Flex, I don't like you, but need some advice. United have ruined my mental health badly with stupid ownership decisions. Do I need to walk away from the club? My advice to you, Andy, and is obviously I don't want to see your mental health ruined. That's the first thing, bro. And this football can do that, which shouldn't really, but it does. Don't walk away. Don't walk away from the club. Like, the club will always be the club, bro. We've got to stick by it. However, do take breaks. If you're like, nah, do you know what? All of this, like, up and down with the manager and all until we start getting good again. Maybe don't watch the results week in, week out, or watch the games week in, week out, and look at all the interviews. You can refrain. You can pull back a little bit. But don't just be like, oh, that time I used to support Man United and now I support someone else. Or so. Don't still support the team. Still support the team.
I do that occasionally.
That's mine.
When I don't know if you do this, Flex. Like sometimes where you just go, you know what? Football's a bit, so it's a lot. There's a bit too much at the moment. I'm just gonna have a bit of a football-free day today.
Yes.
I'm not gonna check online. I'm not gonna go on Sky Sports News. I might go do something else. Watch my favorite program or whatever, go see my mates or something like that.
Yeah,
I'd recommend it. It's very cleansing.
And you got to remember, these are like, to the people that are involved in this, they usually don't give a crap about us. Like, don't let it like take over your life. I know that's rich coming from us, where our life is content and bringing you content and stuff. But even us, because of that, how many times Owen will tell you, mate, I'll just turn off everything. I'll just watch Only Fools and Horses, mate. Like,
yeah.
Just, like almost every day. Yeah. That's like my come down.
Yeah,
you can't let this, whether it's social media, arguing with people or people talking rubbish or saying wild stuff. That's why I never respond. Never let it get to you, because life is way big. Like, we've got so much to smile about in life. So don't let this football thing, especially social media, cloud you to make you think that is all there is to life. And it's so, like, if you're having a tough time on Twitter or Instagram, or just deactivate.
Yeah, you put your phone down. And then I know it's ironic from me, but you go outside and then you realize, you go, oh, it's not real. You know what I mean? You go, oh, it's not real.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not. It's not, mate. I've seen loads of things like, oh, people might try and get onto people have messaged me, oh, Fleck, have you seen this? Or someone said this, or when you were celebrating the goal, Flex, they said like, some of the guys who don't like fan media, they were onto you. Oh, Fleck, how do you deal with it? Some people I meet and they say, how do you deal with some? I go, half of it I don't even see. You probably see it more than me. Like the mute button and the block button is your best friend. You can literally like tailor make what you see, so your experience is different. And then if you do see stuff, it won't be like that by tomorrow. And it literally never is. Some other news will come and you're just pushed to the back. So don't ever engage, mate. That is my advice for you, Andy. More super chats. Divas has been a member for 23 months. That might be a record as well, by the way. Fleck, you guys said we have to give Erik ten Hag at least 3 years. Are you done with him in 18 months? How much time you giving the new manager? 6, 12, or 18 months? I get asked this a lot of like, you said this, so why are you not sticking to this? And like I just say, like circumstances can change. It really can. Like people can call it a flip flop if you don't change. Sorry, if you do change what you said 18 months ago, and other people can call it stubborn. Other people can call it stubborn if you refuse to change after being shown new evidence. So it's all of a personal journey, isn't it? 18, like basically I've given him 2 years. And you know, I'm short of the year that I said I'd give him 3. But so much has changed. I didn't think we'd get new minority owners. I didn't know that the second season would go like this. And
that's the key
you
thing
know,
with Ten
but
Hag.
also I'm not absolutely fuming if he stays. I've said this, you know.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing with the timeline for him. Like you, like we said a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? Go, and if he stays, then I want him to succeed, and I want, you know, what we need, particularly with these new people that have come in, everyone needs to be on the same page. And I think we can't be naive to be like nothing's changed around Erik ten Hag since he came in. The circumstances have evolved greatly. And that's not Erik ten Hag's fault. That's not his fault that those circumstances have changed. But it is important to understand the reality of the situation is the same people that brought him in ain't here anymore. Like that is critical. The same, his biggest advocates are not here anymore. And the moment you
start it changes everything.
Yeah, the moment you start losing advocates, that timeline that was originally there or the original intentions that were there, they're gone immediately. And again, that's important to consider.
It is. Neil says that the fact that we have been dominated by almost every team, irrespective of the result, makes his position untenable. I think INEOS have made their mind up long ago. Yo Yoda says, it's been a member for 9 months, says that the club won't commit to a stance as they like the constant stories about United. It's all brand exposure for United. No such thing as bad publicity. Think they're doing it on purpose, Owen, for more clicks, more likes, more publicity?
No, they're not that well run.
Well, yeah, true.
Exactly, yeah.
Witterbird, aka Vicky, big up to you. Been a member for 20 months. Big up to you, Vicky. Screams Sky Sports being bitter on departure of Klopp. As anything Klopp did, Erik ten Hag did better last season. Another conspiracy there from Witterbird saying, listen, just trying to. Sky Sports are just making it up because, you know, they're bitter that the Klopp's gone. WJ Barrett says, I watched your show last night and slept on it. I think I would take McKenna. What do we have to lose? Fresh blood, new ideas, and clean slate. We need change. Let's roll the dice. Sample sizes is enough. Shahil has been a member for 23 months. Says, hi, guys. For me, my first choice would be to keep Erik ten Hag. Only 1 year left. So also I don't see what Thomas Frank... Oh, I don't want to see Thomas Frank near this club. If Erik ten Hag leaves, my first choice equals Tuchel. So much opinions here. And actually, this is a good one from United as well, to talk about the differences of opinions. United says, have you guys ever considered just replaying the show yesterday instead of doing a fresh one? We have a game tomorrow, and all you guys talk about is Erik ten Hag. And as you see, with all of the super chats and talks and people in the comments, everyone is talking about it. Nearly 1,600 people want to talk about this and are forced to talk about this because this is what is being fed to us. Of course, with the lead up to the game, we've got the preview going out. We've got the Trinity coming out at 6 p.m. as well. We've all been talking about who should play. We've talked about Rashford so much. Wait till you see the preview, United. So we have, and this is what we've tried to say as well. This is what's bad about this, is that we want to be talking about the game, but the news is the news. Like Suhuza says there in the comment sections, LOL, stop talking about the news. It is what it is.
It's unfortunate, but we can't. You'd almost be doing a bit of a disservice, wouldn't you, if you're like, we're just not going to talk about the important news.
We're just going to ignore that the people behind the scenes are literally talking to 4 people about the manager's job because we got a game. But United said it's hardly news. So United definitely feels very strongly about, listen, all of this is nonsense. I would disagree. How do you feel?
That is
what I want to do. Yeah, it is news. I want to know what you think it is, United. Just let me know in the comments. Don't send super chats. I'll be watching out here because when you get an alternative sort of viewpoint, I love to see sort of why and what the process is behind it. What do you think is going on? Do you think it's just pure crap? Like, do you just think like Ten Hag staying no matter what? So why is this happening? Like, you lot are just talking about rubbish, or do you feel like he might leave and you just don't want to talk about it, or do you feel like no matter what happens, because there's a game coming up, like it just should be about that? Don't talk about anything else. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about that, United. Big up Minna. She's just come through as well. Just seen her. She says, "What have I missed? Who's bitching about who?" You haven't missed a lot, Minna. It's all going off. United does come back and say, until after the FA Cup, I don't know why every day has to be about the manager. No doubt he might leave, but I think it's pointless when nothing official is out. Okay, fair play. You just yeah, and we're not going to know officially for a while.
The only problem is you can't win. If we came on here and just exclusively spoke about the FA Cup final, then there would also be a large portion of people that would be like, why are you refusing to talk about the club being disrespectful to the guys currently in the job? Because the stuff leaking out about having talks with other people. Like, yeah, unfortunately, the nature of a news show, isn't it, is that you may not like the news, but it's the news. You know what I mean? That's when you have to be careful about, well, we're not going to talk about that. Why? I don't like it. That's the problem, isn't it? Sometimes the news is, you agree with it, you disagree with it, you're indifferent on it, but unfortunately, it is what it is. It's the news, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Goku 3000 has been a member for 22 months and says, I think Eric Ten Hag is 100% gone. Why would there be a leak of United talking to other managers days before the cup final? And Space Odie says, McKenna is as good as any bloke from the audience. Wow, very damning. Let's go. Joe Fleming says, Flex, you're a G and are well liked by everybody. Thank you. Appreciate that, Joe. Not everybody. I have met people in real life who definitely do not like me.
No, it can't be. You can't be liked by everyone, can you?
100%. And it's just not how the world works. You shouldn't want to be liked by everybody. It's not how it goes. But big up to you, Joe Fleming. Appreciate you, bro. Glennie says, must say, guys, I don't like it when other channels keep making bitchy comments about each other. You guys are always complimentary about other creators. You're in control of what you say and how you conduct yourself. Anyone else in the space is anyone else in the space. You say and do as you feel. What you do, what you can control is how you conduct yourself. That's all I'm on. Always have been, always will be. Simple as that.
You celebrate, for me anyway, I know you've got the same, Flex, you celebrate other people that are in the space, their accomplishments and their achievements, because it's about the medium, isn't it? You want the medium to thrive and succeed. And if you being nice, isn't it? That's what it is. That's the world I want to live in.
I just find it really easy to be that way. It's just how I am naturally. I just like hate and like not liking people. To me, that's just a draining emotion.
It'll weigh you down.
If you don't, do you know what I mean? To not like someone or to take time out of your day to hate on someone or try bring it, to me, it just doesn't compute in my brain. It's not what I come from. So that's fine. It just don't make sense to me. So big up to you, Glennie. And when you see it, just ignore it, bro. Sanil says, if Ten Hag had hair, he would be sacked long ago. Interested. Akash says, are INEOS looking for a puppet coach? That is the narrative a little bit around the McKenna situation has been that a little bit already. Like, oh, well, he's, not going to stand up for himself. Yes, man. That's what Ollie was. That's why he was in that little group. And I don't know. Maybe we're doing Kieran McKenna a disservice there, but I hear you. And Space OD says, we went from an ex-Prem winner coach to an ex-Eredivisie winner coach, now to a championship coach, Nets coach, ex-Sunday League coach. So, yes. And Lawrence says, what's the difference between United and Chelsea? Well,
one's in London, one's in Manchester.
There is quite a bit, to be fair. There is quite a bit. 1,700 people watching as well, by the way. Big up to you guys. Nearly 500 likes, 476 likes. Do like the video. I did a video last night, Flex Against the World from EAFC 24. I won every single game. I'm way better without KG. You should come. Owen, you were tuned in for a bit. I don't know how long for, whether it's the whole thing or just you saw what I was doing. I'm just gonna say I'm completely better without KG.
You're playing easy opposition. But, when you haven't played for a while and they start, the algorithm starts, tying you against, well, this is a bit of a average player, so we got to put him against average players.
mate. It wasn't that. My finishing on point, my tactical,
Yeah.
decisions on point.
Well, a
Like
lot of people have been
I
saying it
was
this
really
year.
good.
Game's too easy. Game's too easy. I've heard that as well. Game's too easy. That's part of
Mhm.
it as well. Look, when you take the recklessness out of K from Flay G, when you take the G out of Flay, you do get a little less recklessness. But yes,
That's what
that
I'm
was on
saying.
playback. That was a successful first EAFC stream on playback, and the community there is growing. And going into the summer, my goodness me, have we got a lot more planned for that platform. So if you haven't already, it's pinned in the chat. Go check it out.
Yes, absolutely. Please do. We're on our road to 1,000 in our community. We've got 578. Again, I tried it yesterday and people got involved to get us to 600 mark. That's our next. So please do, click on the link in the video description and pinned in the chat and get us to the next milestone. More super chats coming in. It's so busy today. Kenny Fan TV says the main focus is the change in recruitment structure and medical stuff, to be honest, and including outgoings and signings. Joe Fleming says INEOS are looking kind of dry at the moment, not going to lie. And Lee says McKenna will get eaten up and spat back out. Too much of a gamble, and we cannot afford another bad decision right now.
Good morning. To quote Shakespeare, oh, what a tangled web we weave. When we first practiced to deceive, INEOS moving cloak and dagger form. Erik ten Hag being proposed to being sacked is an utter disgrace. Do not fiddle while Rome burns.
That was a strong super chat as well. I had to get into character.
You
For that
did.
one. I had to pull on, Shakespeare again. Thou doth protest too much. Yes. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. I need like a skull in like Hamlet holding it like that.
Yeah. Oh wow, Nubian Fair, like you get guys Ferris in the chat. We hadn't heard from Nubian for a little while as well. He had a little bit of a break, a little bit of a hiatus, but he's back and back strong. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Big up to you as always, Nubian Fair. I hope you're doing well. Strong words. I don't know a lot about Shakespeare and Hamlet.
Do not
I'm not
fiddle
good at
while
that.
Rome burns.
Yeah. I remember doing it in GCSE. I passed, but I can't.
I wasn't big on Shakespeare.
I remember.
I struggled
No,
with that.
I'm not great at all. Seen Romeo and Juliet with but like the new version with like Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah. The Montagues and the Capulets. Nem Green says, Wagwan boys, personally, Erik ten Hag, I want to see players gone before a manager, but the candidates available are not good enough. Erik ten Hag also needs to adapt with injuries. Win the cup. Very simple from Nem Green, 100%, bro. Fat Four says, tell us 2 things you love about KG and 1 you dislike. 2 things I love about KG.
Narrow him down to 2.
I know. At the top of the list, just his energy. His energy is unmatched. Secondly, I would say his loyalty, like support, loyalty, always is there for
That's
you.
what I was going to say. I was going to say loyalty.
Unrivaled. Like even like you see KG as like funny, silly, and he is all of those things and happy and all that. But when it comes to like life, serious, that he's there. He's wicked. He's that. So
he
loyalty
really is.
and energy. 1 thing I dislike, only 1. I got loads. He's just away with it, isn't he? Like you can't. I can't contact him when I want to contact him. Maybe that. Well, I can sometimes. Just the what's that? Not flippantness. Not flippantness. Just
I think it probably goes into he's very disorganized with everything. So that means like sometimes it'll be difficult to get a hold of, or you'll say, we agreed this time, didn't we? And then he goes, no. And then you go, look at this. He goes, oh yeah, we did. Yeah. Like he does that quite a lot. But I absolutely agree. He is incredibly loyal, and he is the genuine article. There is no facade when it comes to Kevin Gary. He is the real deal. Like you said, incredibly loyal. one of those people, old school in a sense of like, he's not one of those people that checks in by sending you a message. He checks in by ringing you and talking to you.
Yeah, he really will.
He wants to hear it in your voice to see if you're all right, that kind of thing. So yeah, he's a true friend.
Minna said he bets too much, which he definitely does.
Costs like gambling, probably. Yeah.
Well. And the fun definitely has stopped for him as well, so he needs to stop. Will Lloyd says, "I am Erik ten Hag. Must be in, but do understand why people want him out. However, the way he has been treated has been a disgrace, especially this week. This reminds me of Emery at Arsenal as well." Yeah, so a lot of opinion. 539 likes, over 1,700 people watching as well. So big up to you guys. We have spoke about the 4-manager shortlist as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of extra stuff on that. We can go through it very, very quickly. So once again, coming out from the Times last night was saying that there has been this 4-man shortlist of managerial candidates if United decide to sack Erik ten Hag, that consisting of Pochettino, Tuchel, McKenna, and Thomas Frank. Obviously, as Rob Dawson said last night from ESPN2, that they actually have held talks, according to sources with ESPN, with all of these people. Probably in the case of like McKenna, with a lot of these, it's representatives. Whether or not those talks, again, were held with the likes of Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox. In the case of McKenna, that wasn't really established by Rob Dawson in this article. But once again, what's the line? Same line from the Times, from Matt Lawton, Charlotte Ducker, was Manchester United maintain no decision has been made on Erik ten Hag's future, and the Emirates FA Cup final will not determine this. However, they will.
See, they're saying that bit. Sorry, Owen, just quickly. They're like, when people say it's a briefing or don't believe this is just rumours. When Man United are being asked what's going on, they say, well, we haven't made a decision yet. So they're saying, they keep saying there's a decision to be made.
Yeah, and the response, and naturally the response. Imagine you go, "Hey, Mum, can we get like a Chinese for tonight? Haven't made a decision on that," and you go, "It's not a no."
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not a no. However, it says the club were forced to make contingency plans following Chelsea's decision to part ways with Pochettino. Now, obviously, the reports came out last night rather, about the talks with McKenna last week. But interestingly, the Times there are saying, well, because of what's happened at Chelsea, maybe that has expedited the process a little bit. Maybe it has sped things up to an extent of going, well, we were going to leave it maybe a couple of weeks after the FA Cup final to make this call. But because suddenly now, as we have said quite a lot over the last couple of weeks, that the managerial market has exploded with these people that were not available a week or so ago suddenly becoming available. A week ago, Thomas Tuchel was like, well, he's going to stay at Bayern probably. De Zerbi, well, we don't know what's going to happen with him. He might stay at Brighton. Poch, they finished the season really well, so that's going to happen. You know, even McKenna was like, they're probably going to have a season in the Premier League, see what happens, that kind of stuff. And suddenly now they're all available. They're all available. Some are still attached to clubs in the case of McKenna, but the impression is no, he's going to be off. And maybe because of those events too, as we always say, the circumstances dictate a lot. Maybe that has sped up and forced INEOS's hand. And it goes back to what we've spoken about before when we go, did INEOS make their minds up a while ago? As much as they insist that they haven't, is there a way that they're leaning? Because if they're leaning a certain way, they maybe might say, look, we've not made our decision because obviously he's still the manager. So clearly we haven't made our decision. But if they're leaning one way and then the circumstances happen to push them even further, maybe that's why all of this stuff has been sped up. I don't know. But I do, like I said before, I do sympathize with Ten Hag because
I do.
The ideal conditions.
It's definitely not ideal. But also there is a sense of like, how much can be decided just off one game? And Joe Blackman makes a good point. It can't depend on the final. If it is INEOS are trash, you should know by now, 100%. Like they should know by now that,
and they probably do. That's the
thing. And I think they probably do. I just think the line that they're putting out is there's no decision been made yet. All options are on the table because they don't want to come across as like, you know, sacking someone before the FA Cup final, or like you said, then out if he does get sacked after. We did say it could happen, but it's like, think about it. How can you have like such a bad season in different forms of context? It's been a horrible season, and you just base it off of one game. It's impossible. You can't base it like, you know, you can't just sack him because we lose to Man City, because anyone can lose to Man City. We lost to Man City last year. He lost to them last year after a good season. And you can't just go, well, because he beat Man City, that's the reason we're going to keep him. Like, it has to be based off of the footballing decisions for the last 2 years, taking into account, how the money's been spent, the style of play, how you've dealt with adversity, have you adapted well enough when there was injuries, all these things. And the most important thing out of everything, do you see Eric aligning with what you want Man United to be on the next phase? Because you can argue that actually what's happened in the past happened in the past. It's all about looking forward. You can't change the fact we've finished 8th. They won't be able to change the fact that we've lost the FA Cup if that happens and it's a negative. Obviously, it's great if we win it. What they can change is, what does this thing look like going forward with him? Do we think he aligns with this style of play we want to have, with these types of players we want to buy, with these types of players we want to sell? Does he fit that? I almost think that should be the biggest questions. Those should be the biggest questions, which should give the biggest answers. Because what happened before they got there, I'm not going to say is INEOS' concern, because it is, because they have to look at what happened in order to work out how to fix it. But Sir Jim knows. Everyone knows how shit Man United's been for 10, 11 years. Everybody knows the bad decisions that have been made. And clearly they know, because they've got rid of all the people who were part of it. So that is what it is. But do you think that Eric Ten Hag can align with you, INEOS, and your ideologies and your people coming forward and do what you want him to do to restore Man United back to where it needs to be? If the answer is no, they have to change him.
Well, it was funny that Eric Ten Hag himself said yesterday, he was asked that in the press conference about, would the FA Cup salvage a really bad season? And he said no. He said no. Obviously, we want to win a trophy and we're in a final. That's an achievement, but it doesn't. You have to. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? That one, because in the same breath, like it's the one thing that's going for us. One of the things that's going for us in the game tomorrow is that it's a one-off game. If form really mattered going into that game, then we might as well not bother showing up, because Man City are the most informed team and the best team in the league. But it's not about that. It's a one-off game. It's a cup final. So that's going in our favour. But from an Eric Ten Hag point of view, that's one of the things that's not going in his favour, is that it's just that. It's a one-off game. What tells a better story? That game, that win, or the rest of the season, the 38 games in the Premier League, what happened in the Champions League, finishing bottom, only winning, was it 1 game or something like that? Like that's the things that INEOS have to consider, and that's the things that they're saying that they are going to consider. So, like we've said before, it does. When you do take a step back and try and remove yourself from just the sheer overload of information, all these reports, and you start just asking yourself some quite sort of pertinent questions, when you go, well, if they thought he was the proper guy, why wouldn't have they just like solved this by now? Like, why would they, if they thought he was he's definitely the guy, and if the FA Cup doesn't matter as well, remember that's the other part of it. The FA final doesn't matter.
So why are you waiting then?
So if you think he's the guy, then why wouldn't you do anything? Why wouldn't Sir Jim come out and say anything? Why wouldn't he get a new contract if you backed him? Why wouldn't you do that? And the fact that you haven't, well, that says a lot, actually, doesn't it? It's like the Varane stuff. It was like the hair stuff. Eventually, as time keeps ticking on and they don't get a new contract, you go, they're leaving. Like they're off, because the action, as we always say, actions speak louder than words, and that's the case here.
Yeah, Scars with a really big super chat here. Some people already in the chat saying really agree. Aaron Harry says completely agree, Scars. Scars says, fans got fed up after one bad season due to an injury crisis, yet are calling for a complete restart, like they'll magically develop the patience for that. Instant success is not coming with a new manager. And you're right. You're definitely right about that last bit, Scars. Instant success is not, well, you can never say never, but it's very unlikely that Man United get a new manager and win the Premier League next year. And we definitely aren't going to win anything in Europe because we're not in it. So a lot of that is true. And you make a point about, after one bad season with injuries, not everybody, but many people have said they don't want Eric anymore. And how are they all of a sudden going to get patience for a new guy? I hear what you're saying. I hear that. I don't think, though, that we can group people who want to change and say that they think that instant success is coming, because that also isn't. I don't think people are saying. Well, if they are saying that, you're right. They shouldn't be, because nothing's going to just change overnight and make us amazing again.
And also, I think you have to be. Again, this is my opinion on it. I think the idea of, we're just, sacking Eric Ten Hag and we'll have to restart all over again. My opinion is the moment Sir Jim Ratcliffe but got in control of football operations. We restarted then. The clock went back to zero then for me anyway, because, you know, obviously there's a huge importance on the manager, head coach of any football team, but particularly nowadays, the chief executive, you know, the sporting director, technical director, they're arguably bigger than the manager, you know, the first team coach, the head coach of any football club. And the moment that they got, you know, brought in, they got replaced, I believe anyway, again, the clock started, the restart happened again. The cycle, the process that we were on when Erik ten Hag was hired under the Glazers in control of football operations, with Richard Arnold overseeing it, with John Murtough being the football director, that stopped. Like it's not the same anymore. That whole, you know, cycle thing, for me anyway, it started again when those new people came in. So whether or not Erik ten Hag is the manager this summer, the restart has already happened. It's just the big question is Erik ten Hag going to be a part of the restart, or is he going to not be a part of the restart? For me, the restart happens, or is already happening regardless.
Yeah, the clock, it did without him realizing, or without him wanting it to happen. It did. But then you could argue that it did restart, but if he was doing a good enough job, they would want to stay with. They would be like, well, that's one of the good things that are already
that's
here.
What I mean.
So
are you going to be part of the restart? Yeah, exactly. It's like when you know, like with back in the day when you had all the sitcoms on television and they do the revamp or something like that. They change scene. It's always set in New York and suddenly it goes over to Los Angeles. They go, which characters we taking over? We taking over the lead character, or we just completely revamping it and bringing in a new cast? That's what it's like at the moment with Manchester United. The revamp's happening. The rebrand's happening as we speak. It's just a case of which members of the cast are going to be sticking around and who's going to get recasted.
Yeah, exactly. Nearly 1,800 people watching. Let's get to 700 likes, guys. We've got 630 right now. Please do like the video if you haven't already. Let's get to 700. It's the Ghost of Wraith the Phantom's last game. Obviously, I'm preparing myself emotionally. I have been preparing myself. I mean, I'm almost certain he'll start. I think we all agree on that, especially with Harry Maguire being out as well. So it will be him. He was just talking about. He's got some quotes here with Man United. Just talk about the roles and responsibility of a centre back. Some of the quotes. Rafael Varane asked about the changing responsibilities of a centre back, such as retaining possession. It's very important for me. When you don't have pressure, you have to dribble a little bit to carry the ball, to force the opponent to press you. He also says that makes free another player from your team. And when you're under pressure, you have to see before where you want to pass the ball, to play one touch or to control it in the right space, to pass the ball, or you play very quick, very fast, or you have to force them to press you. The Ghost of Wraith the Phantom just talking about that. He goes, we also said we spoke at the beginning of the season to create that enjoyment of defending and create that energy, that motivation to try and achieve the clean sheet. That's something as a defender we want to do. I remember some discussion at the beginning of the season with my teammates, and we said it's important to do. I'm guessing that's more the fist pumps, the high fives, the beating of the chest. We can see that in our best performances. We did it a lot, so communication is very important. He also said something else as well. He said something about, that was it. When I spoke with players who aren't used to playing at centre back, when they played there the first time, I asked, how was it? The answer is always the same. I feel tired, mentally tired. Basically saying how difficult it is to play centre back and some of the demands that are placed upon you. Basically talking to Casemiro, saying, how you getting on after that, mate? You know what I mean?
Where do you think he goes? Where do you think he goes in the summer, Rafael Varane?
Well, Saudi's got to be up there. Saudi's got to be up there. Back to France, maybe a Lens. I think he could go to an Italy. He could play there for one of the Italian teams.
He's certainly not done. He's still early 30s.
No, he's not done. Yeah, he's not done. Obviously, where he goes, he'll have to manage himself. We know that. We've seen it. So whoever takes him would have to take that on board. But yeah, he's not done. And don't get it twisted. Wherever he does go, I will get that team shirt and get a Varane top. In fact, I need to get a Varane top this year just for my archives. I don't normally get player shirts, but I need a Varane shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see where he goes, because he's been very in the past about, I'll only play for Man United, Real Madrid, or Lens. But I guess, his hand might be forced a little bit because, I mean, you never know. He could end up going back to Real Madrid, backup player. Maybe he decides, maybe they offer him a contract. You never know. They're going to have some
You reckon? Back to Real Madrid?
They have a few French players there, don't they? In Camavinga, in Tchouaméni, in Mbappé. Why not?
Nah, I can't see that. I can't see him go back to the top level. Nah.
He was linked to Bayern before.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
They got enough centre-backs, haven't they?
Yeah, I don't see him going back to the top level. I see it. Well, I'm not going to be rude to say it's a step down from us because everywhere he could still be playing in Europe next season easy. So we're a mess. So it can be a step up in terms of the competition, and he might have a chance to win a title wherever he goes. But I don't think he'll be one of the big like of Real Madrid or Bayern.
You think,
MLS maybe? Yeah, maybe.
You think maybe Ronaldo gets on the phone, says, "Come join me in Saudi."
Yeah.
But then he might talk to Benzema, and Benzema will be like, "Yeah, go Saudi, mate."
Yeah. Isn't Benzema still there though?
Yes, but all of those reports suggest that he wants to leave. I think he's into a contract until 2026 or something like that. It's been a mixed bag for players that have gone over there, haven't there? Some people, really have enjoyed it. Some people are like, no, I want to get back. And the thing you would say to Varane is, wouldn't you be like I said, it's not as if you're like mid-30s or late 30s. Like, you still got time.
Oh, you can play. Yeah, you still got a bit of time. You could do a couple of years more in Europe and then go Saudi after if he wants. It's up to him. Varane could have a resurgence with a better medical staff. Varane to Leverkusen, says Akil. If he stays in Europe, he will half his wages at least. He wouldn't keep Varane on 150k a week for 2 years. Another mistake by the club. Wait, well, if he stays in Europe, he'll be on half his wages.
Yeah, because he was on like over 300 or something at United.
Yeah, over 300. So we couldn't. But again, we assume that we've just let him go. But again, you don't know if he wanted to even negotiate. He might not want to stay at Man United.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
we don't know.
We don't know.
You know what I mean? We don't know. His camp could have said, don't even give us a renewal. We know that you're changing things and you're going to offer us way less. We're just going to look elsewhere for a new challenge. Rafa's had 3 years in the Prem. He's happy. He wants to look at Saudi. He wants to look at MLS or other options. So they may not even have got round a table. This isn't like they were negotiating for age. No report said they were negotiating for ages, but couldn't agree. It was always the opposite.
Yeah, Romano just said like nothing.
Nothing. Just a mutual. And that could be easy as one meeting. What are you thinking next season? They said, probably going to look elsewhere anyway. We'll leave on a free. Okay, no problem.
Or just like, what would be the conditions of you staying? Well, we'd be looking for this amount, but we're not going to give you that. All right.
Yeah, no problem. Exactly. And it was a really easy discussion. Did I read that one? No. David Ruck says, we're all talking about Eric Ten Hag not being the right man, but we are forgetting that INEOS might not be the right people. Ashworth has been their first mess. Well, I know it's turned out of a mess, but I don't know if you can blame necessarily INEOS. You don't know how it's got to that stage. Newcastle could have been playing hardball. Dan Ashworth himself might have done silly things. But obviously, INEOS have then got to back him and try and find a way to get him out because that's.
And also, if we ended up paying 20 million for Dan Ashworth, just imagine the fan reaction to that one as well. Here we go again. Here we go again. Well, if the arbitrator said the arbitrator's never going to say 20 million pounds, that would be madness. Yeah, exactly.
Carol J says there has never a build up. There was never a build up. I reckon. To a game this season where only just the game has been discussed because the off-field activities have been prominent. Yeah, exactly. It's because it's the last hurrah, isn't it? It's the last game of the season. Trophies on the line, Manchester Derby, Wembley, and then of course, once that is finished, it's into the space of transfers and managerial merry-go-round. So it's just followed. So big up to everyone anyway who's watched today. Big show. Thanks for getting involved. What have we got later on today? Well, the presser was done yesterday, so that's one less thing for today. We've got the Trinity episode 16 or 17.
I think 17. Ep 17. Yeah.
Okay, episode 17, powered by Dango, coming up for you later on at 6 p.m. I'm going to hit playback at some point, carry on my career without KG, which is so much better. I'm winning games. I'm hardly conceding. I'm just better. I'm just way better.
It's not good. Yeah, it's not good.
Do you know what I mean? I'm going up the leagues. I'm flying. I'm absolutely flying. So yeah, join me on playback later on as well. Take care, guys. We'll see you again soon.
Oh, and preview's coming out as well.
Oh, yes, the preview. Wait, no, that's coming out quite early. 1 o'clock. There you go. preview at 1 o'clock. So loads going on the channel. For those who have said, you haven't talked about the game. Well, me, KJ, and Owen have done just that at 1 o'clock. See you then. Take care. Peace.